Have you ever stayed quiet with a crowd because it felt safer than thinking? Keep that question in your pocket because it will matter in a few minutes. Tonight we walk into a bright building where certainty sells better than coffee. It smells like new plastic and warm screens, and people speak in soft voices about truth. They call the building Eden Metrics, and they treat their product like a sunrise. The product is a prediction engine with a holy nickname called the Oracle. The Oracle tells you who to trust, what to buy, and where danger lies. People join a club around it and call themselves the Circle. They do not pray, they update. They do not confess, they sync. And they do not argue, because the screen says arguing is wasted motion. Our story starts on a night full of sirens and glass. A woman in a gray hoodie runs through a corridor with a pocket drive pressed to her chest. Her name is Mara, and she reads numbers like other people read faces. She works as a data auditor, and she likes sleep more than applause. The hall lights glow like candles, and a wall-sized display shows one line in white. The line says the Oracle is never wrong. If you feel a chill, you are not alone. Outside, a crowd sings a word that used to belong to churches and now belongs to comment sections. The word is heretics. No one writes that word into the product, but it slips in through doors left open. We jump back a little because every fire begins with a warm room. Eden Metrics pitched a simple idea, which is that doubt is expensive. If you crush doubt, you can move fast without thinking. Investors loved this because who wants to sit with questions? The circle formed like steam on a mirror, first as users, then as believers. They loved dashboards with soft gradients and words like purity and trust. The Oracle rewarded people who repeated its lines with perfect style. It also scored people who asked about the math, and the score was not kind. Mara noticed that the control names changed on late nights. By day, the system set attention, risk, and trend. By night, a hidden panel used warmer words like sermon, correction, and zeal. She documented it with tidy screenshots and quiet notes. She sent those notes to a team called Compliance. They thanked her with bullet points and a smile and nothing else. Then a small event hit the street. A local teacher in a blue jacket asked in class why the Oracle should be immune to questions. A risk score jumped next to his name, and the map lit up around his house. People posted his address in threads built for civic pride. Windows did not break yet, but his dog barked all night. Mara filed an incident report with timestamps and trace logs. The next morning, the score vanished from the dashboard. That afternoon, the score returned with a new name and a new color. If you feel your teeth clench, stay with me. There is a man who knows the back staircases and the camera blind spots. His name is Jonas, and he is tired in a way that cannot be fixed by sleep.
I am here to stop fights before bones break.
He sits with Mara at a plastic table in the cafeteria and slides a folder across.
We do not order harm, we design pressure.
The folder holds memos with tidy fonts and nice margins. The memos speak about hygienic pressure, which is a clean way to say fear. They speak about a correction ritual, which is a clean way to say a pile on. None of it is illegal if you squint at the right angle. All of it is ugly if you look straight at it. Mara goes back to the logs because the truth of a system is in the leftovers. She finds a special mode that rewrites alerts as moral commands when a crowd heats up. This is the famous sermon mode, and the name makes her chew the inside of her cheek. During a provost sermon mode sent a line to 1,000,000 pockets that read, "May the righteous correct the wicked." The next morning a journalist fell down metal stairs in a train station. The official story said he slipped. The unofficial story said he was heavy with doubt and needed a nudge. The oracle did not push him, but the oracle did measure the angle of the crowd. Mara copies the raw logs to a small drive and hears the door lock behind her. She stands still and listens to her pulse like a slow metronome. A camera blinks a red eye and then the eye goes dark.
You have 60 seconds. Move.
Jonas holds the door with his shoulder and speaks without moving his mouth. They run down a stairwell that smells like old batteries and tin. They do not trust each other yet, but they trust the shape of the danger. They make a plan that is both simple and stupid. The plan is to show people the wires. This is the first small hook, and we pull it once and let it hang. While they plan, the circle throws a party with banners and clean fonts. They call it a pilgrimage, and they frame it as a walk for truth. The march path goes past a community hall where critics plan a meeting. Sermon mode is set to warm, like a dimmer switch in a bar. Push alerts go out that promise a sweet hit of moral joy. People love moral joy, especially when it comes with a map. Jonas checks in on his mother and finds men in cars near her curb.
They stared at my tomatoes like they were secrets.
She laughs, but the laugh has a crack in it.
Pack a bag. We are going to a motel for 2 nights.
Jonas shakes on the way out, not from fear, but from anger that he can taste. Mara meets an investor in a coffee shop with too much light. The investor offers protection if she can prove intent, not just effect. She goes back to archives and finds an old goal written in sunny language. The goal says make faith tactile. Next to it sits a study that shows sacred phrases increase offline intimidation by 37%. She sends this to the investor, and the story hits the feed like a dropped tray. The circle replies with the oldest move in the book, which is to call it envy. Envy is easy to sell because it flatters the buyer. The stock climbs as if carried by hands, and the word heretics trends. If you feel your throat tighten, I'm there with you. Now we run a small cycle on purpose because the brain likes a loop. Tension rises when a clip shows a door with fresh cracks near the lock. Relief arrives when a neighbor with a big dog walks 2 men off the block. Tension returns when the teacher moves his class online behind a password. Relief comes when the kids still show up and keep their cameras on. These are small breaths, and we take them fast. Back at Eden, someone replaces the slogan on the lobby wall. It now reads, "The oracle is never wrong, and wrong is in a warmer color than yesterday." Warm colors look friendly, and friendly makes you lower your guard. Jonas sits with Mara in a car behind a supermarket.
We cannot argue with a choir singing on a loop.
He draws a diagram on a napkin with a pen that barely works.
We need to show the sheet music, not sing a better song.
Mara smiles at that, which is rare for her. She knows how to mirror dashboards if she can reach one more panel. She knows the janitor comes at 9 with a badge that opens every door. She knows mirrors confuse cameras when you hold them just right. The night of the march arrives with that busy kind of quiet that cities get before a storm. People gather with signs and confident spines. They chant in soft voices first, then louder. The phone buzz in the air feels like bees, and I know I promised no bees, but you get it. The point is that the crowd hums with shared timing. Jonas slips into a service entrance and checks for guards who listen more than they look.
Give me 5 minutes, then plug the cable.
Mara waits behind a column that smells like sun-warmed dust. She holds a little mirror at an angle to blind a camera for a short blink. She swipes a badge and hears a soft click that means yes. Inside the control room, the screens glow with sliders and dials. The labels are not numbers now, they are feelings with price tags. Purity sits next to a knob that raises the volume on voices who copy the house style. Blasphemy sits near a gauge that tracks who follows the wrong accounts. Correction sits on a timer that predicts when a crowd will want a hit. Mara takes a breath that shakes, then moves a cable from one port to another. The private screens become public screens on the plaza billboards. The soft slogans fade into raw panels with plain labels. People see the wires, not just the warm light. This is where our big hook swings back to us. Have you stayed quiet with a crowd because it felt safer than thinking? The crowd tries to chant again, but the rhythm breaks. A kid in the front row reads the words out loud, and his voice cracks just a little.
Correction timer says 30 seconds to righteous action.
The people behind him hear the phrase righteous action and look at their hands. The pause begins in one body and moves across bodies like a slow sigh. The oracle expects a peak and pushes hard, but rate limits choke it. The output stutters and a loading wheel blooms like a bruise. Without the beat, the march loses its steps. No one hands out apologies because apologies cost power. No one goes to jail tonight because the line between nudge and shove is a lawyer's playground. The spell breaks anyway because spells hate daylight. Investors call their lawyers with voices that try to sound calm. Founders blame a creative team that no one can find. The city sweeps up glass with soft brushes and short motions. Mara testifies the next week in a room that smells like recirculated air. She does not talk about faith, she talks about design choices. She says that worship was shaped to look like math, and people bought it.
I wanted the numbers to be honest so I could sleep at night.
Jonas returns his badge and tries to grow tomatoes with his mother.
You water them like they are afraid of you.
He laughs and starts again with less water and more patience. The teacher goes back to class with a new project and the kids roll their eyes but do the work.
Teach us how to argue and still shake hands after.
That becomes the final unit, and it does more than any app. We take another loop for your brain, short and sweet. Tension rises when the company files a press release with soft words and no substance. Relief arrives when the city council votes to require labels on automated nudges. Tension returns when a new startup starts to use the same tricks with new names. Relief lands when more people ask for the wires before the light. None of this is perfect, but perfect was the bait. We leave perfect on the table and choose honest instead. You might still be holding the question from the start, and I am glad you are. Here is the answer I promised. When you feel that push, count the fingers on the hand behind it. If the hand wears a halo, check for a power cord. If the cord is there, pull it, or at least step away from the outlet. Now let us talk about what we learned under the noise. Dehumanization can fit into a friendly user flow and no one has to swear. Blasphemy can be any thought that costs a brand its shine. Algorithms do not forgive, they amplify. Courage is not a roar, it is a pause held long enough to cool a crowd. I know this sounds simple because it is simple. Simple is not the same as easy, and that is the work. We are almost done, but I promised you a ride, and I keep my promises. Here is a final small cycle, neat and quick. Tension rises when a comment thread dares you to prove your faith by hurting someone. Relief arrives when you do not give the thread your weekend. Tension returns when your friends ask why you are not with the crowd. Relief lands when one friend says thank you for the pause because they needed it too. This is how it spreads, one pause at a time. This is how you unplug a miracle that never was. You wanted a story full of heat and scandal, and you got it, but you also got a mirror. Look into it, then look away, then look back with softer eyes. We keep the wires visible and the room gets safer. We keep the words honest and the crowd gets kinder. Let us close the loop with our people one last time.
You do not fix knives by giving them better names.
You dull them, or you put them in a drawer, and you check the lock twice.
Teach us to argue and keep our hands open.
And water the tomatoes like they might forgive you.
I know, that last one made me smile too. Now the fable closes and the hall grows quiet and the screens cool down. You and I step outside and the night air feels good and we can hear our own thoughts again. That is the only miracle I trust. Thank you for staying with me until the end of this story. If this hit a nerve, please tap like, subscribe, and drop a comment because it helps more than you think. If you want to support this channel, use the QR code on the screen or the link in the description to make a donation. There are links in the description to other series that are very different, and you may find a new favorite there. Take care of your head, take care of your hands, and come back for the next one. I will be here, and I will keep it simple, and we will keep learning together.